Hey everyone, how you doing? Brian Boughner here, and I am joined with Barry Dick with Merrimack Wealth. And
how we doing?
All right.
Good
to see you.
Good to see you.
Good deal. I'm here in Seabrook, New Hampshire with Barry at his beautiful home. He's only just a block from the beach. We can actually hear the waves crashing in the background. I said, oh, we got to do this episode outside for sure. I know it's a little bright. Couldn't get the camera to tone it down a little bit, but it's a beautiful day. We're up here with Merrimack, and of course, Merrimack is in 2x'd, Massachusetts, and then it's right at the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Barry lives in New Hampshire, right across the border here near the beach. Beautiful home here, and this is our inaugural episode of interviewing the advisors at Fiduciary Alliance, and I'm really excited about it. Yes, Barry and I both share
challenging hairlines.
Challenging for us up top, and we share that, and that just is what it is. But
we're dodging seagulls today. So yeah, we can hear the ocean.
We can hear them, and they're out here for sure.
So hopefully they don't hit us. But
all right, so Merrimack has been with Fiduciary Alliance since 2001. Okay, so we're about 4 years now that we've been partnered together. However, over the last couple of years, Barry, we have seen some tremendous growth in Merrimack in what you're doing. Matter of fact, I think your revenue has basically doubled as a firm just in the last 2 years.
Yep.
What do you think has been the biggest driver of that growth in revenue?
I just think of from where I came from the business. So I was a throwback MetLife guy. I started in the business in 1993, and it was all about a lot of different products. I think in the last 18 months, we've really gotten focused on building that wealth management side of the equation. You know, we do a lot of different things, and we can talk a little bit about that, but I think just by really refocusing my efforts into building the AUM in our firm as one of the revenue centers, and we have 5 or 6 different things that we do, and I think that's been the biggest piece of it, just that refocus and saying, hey, I want to grow this thing. I understand what it can do for the company and what it can do for me personally for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm actually going to move this microphone a little closer to you because you're doing most of the talking here. It's going to be in I need to get it out of the camera a little bit. All right, so you said you've been focusing on the asset management piece.
Yep.
And that's really what's led to the increase there. You came from MetLife, is that what you said?
Yeah, I was an agent for MetLife. When I first got out of college, I decided I wanted to get into. I worked for a law firm for 2 years, and then I decided I worked in their trust department, a big law firm in Boston. And I decided I wanted to get into personal finance. I really didn't know how to do it, so I kind of just started to pave my way. You know, I wish I knew then what I know now, but. You know, I was with them for 8 years, and then I decided to go out on my own in really 2001, and I created Merrimack Wealth Management, Merrimack Financial, and we were doing all different products, different financial things. I wanted to be more of a broker base. So just as the industry's turned into that AUM model, and thank God we found Fiduciary, and I really think when you talk about what's happened, it's just your direction, your company's direction, your leadership. We can talk a little bit about that, but it's just been it's allowed me to go, all right, this is where I want to go.
Yeah, good. And I think you've built something unique here because, so initially you had a property, you still do have a property casualty firm, right? Dick Insurance, that you and your brother do. And you've built this wealth management firm out of that. But it's not just you and your brother now. You got sons working here. You got nephews working here. It's a family business here. Talk a little bit, like how has that helped shape some of the culture there and some of the things that you're doing?
You know, in 2001, when I said, hey, I'm going to go at it on my own here, you know, just looking at the writing on the wall and what direction I wanted to take, I couldn't imagine from that point to go, hey, you're going to be, 2025, you're going to have your brother as your partner. You're going to have 2 sons in the business and a nephew and a niece. And we've just built this thing. I think taking all the risks, taking all the all the hits and just getting to this point, it's amazing to look back and say, where did you come from and how did that, and I can talk about, my latest hire, and we can talk about what's really poured gasoline on the fire, is what I like to say, is the hiring of my son, Tim Dick, who he's a Georgetown grad. He's just turned 29. He worked for a firm away from me. I don't think he wanted to follow or be connected to Dad at one point. It took me 3 years to pull him to the dark side, to this side.
Yeah.
But he finally, in January, said, you know what? Looking at his prospects and what he wanted to do, he's a CFP, which brings a lot of credibility to my firm. That's been a huge piece of it. And getting him on board, he's really, I've seen our firm in a quick 6 months jump exponentially. So he's been a great addition.
Yeah, people matter. Like in any, for whether it's a family member or not, if there's one thing that I've learned throughout the years is people absolutely matter, and having the right people in the right places, doing the right things makes all the difference in the world.
You know, and it doesn't have to be someone who's orchestrated out of college. I'm going to be a finance guy. I'm going to be an economics guy, which Tim was. But my other son, who's been with me now for 5 years, JT, who came from, you know, he's going to be a pharmacist. That was his focus. But again, he's an athlete. He's educated. He's a hard worker. And one day, it was Father's Day about 5 years ago, he came to me, we were cooking out, and he said, hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a minute? And I said, oh boy, when they do that, you go, be ready for something good. And he goes, Dad, you know what? I really don't like what I'm doing right now, and I want to take another direction. He goes, I really want to learn what you do. And I was in the process of trying to grow the business, expanding the people in our practice. What's better than hiring your son? I mean, you talk about family, they have your back. I have great people, but having two of your sons to go and say hello to every day. I get to go to work with my kids every day.
Yeah, that's great.
It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you love them and they love you, and that's
I hope they do.
That's good.
I hope they do.
All right, so let's talk about Merrimack Wealth a little bit. Every growing firm hits some roadblocks, has some challenges, things like that. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges right now that you're dealing with, that you're facing today?
I guess two things come to mind. Like you said, in the last 18 months, we've exploded. We've grown so much just by dialing in on how we want to grow this business and what we want to do. Now it's making sure everybody's in the right spot, right? That workflow process, and making sure everybody understands their direction, what they're responsible for. We don't want the same people touching all the same tasks. It just doesn't work. And that's one of the biggest challenges, is getting everybody in the right pocket so it just flows. The other one right now, as you came to our office, is space. We've grown with people. And we're just basically busting out of our space right now.
And let me just tell everyone what their space looks like. So it's like a ranch office house, one of these older houses that's on a very busy road that they've converted to an office. And it's got the first floor and it has a full basement as well. And you walk up and there's literally two doors. One door goes into the property and casualty insurance agency, and then the other door goes into the wealth management firm. But they've got folks just tucked in all over the place here. So and just as much as you've grown in your clientele and things like that, one conference room, right? Which I'm sure becomes a challenge as well.
Right, trying to schedule that conference room for meetings has been a challenge. So that's something, as we look forward, again, putting some of that infrastructure in place so we can continue to grow and not get sidetracked, and it's such a critical piece. So those two things. And then the last thing is my brother, you know, Brian, and I think a lot of people, he does what I do, but at one point about 5 years ago, we had to pretty much divide and conquer. So what I say by that is that we have multiple revenue sources, businesses. So we were growing a property and casualty business, which really doesn't go hand in hand with wealth management or AUM, but it's been a great source of referrals, business owners. I don't think we work that book as efficiently as we can, but Brian, I either said, hey, we divide and conquer or we're going to fail. So he had to focus more. His day might be 80% property and casualty and 20% financial planning, or I'm the opposite. And it works good. And we both have staffs on both sides, and we do cross over. And again, it's just trying to grow.
So what I hear you saying is you've got to have very defined roles. You've got to respect and embrace those roles, and embrace and respect what the other people are doing in those roles as well. No, that's important. All right, so sticking with Merrimack, Talk to us about, I don't know, like maybe the next 5 to 10 years. What, in terms of growth, obviously you're bringing in some of your family here. They're young, learning the business, things like that. What do the next 5 years look like for you?
The addition of Tim coming in, a seasoned wealth management guy, young guy. I mean, I've basically feel that Brian and myself, for me, certainly have created this legacy,
Right.
and we can continue to keep this business moving and growing. We're not going to be in a position where I want to get out of the business. I'm being 58.
Yeah.
I know you're 51.
52.
52, and I look pretty good. I look like I'm 52.
You look like you're 42, if I'm being honest, Barry. But okay.
But just making sure that I have a plan if I decided to step away more, or we do like to vacation down in Naples. We have a house down there. And, you know, it's nice to know that the firm keeps plugging along and that money's coming in, sales are coming in, and having these young guys in, having your back, you just know that the business is going to be there. The other thing that, and I talked about this yesterday, is that being 58, I didn't realize this was going to happen, but a couple of years ago at one of the summits, one of your speakers spoke about this, and they said, you're just going to understand this. As you get older, your friends get older, and the people that you're around get older, and they start to retire, and you start to see them looking for answers and direction, and there is money flow from that. So right now, basically how we're prospecting on the young, and we can talk about that if you want, but from the young guys, like we do these Social Security workshops. We want to educate people about Social Security. We feel that's a good target market to really start to. These are people that have accumulated assets. They're about ready to make a big change. Do they take Social Security? Do they not? So we do Social Security workshops. It's been very successful to this point. We started that at the beginning of the year when I brought Tim in. And then we're seeing from our referral business, because we're pretty well known in the town that we're in, and you're starting to see the mixture of these new walk-ins, or boots through the ground, boots through the doors, I like to say, these people from the workshops when we make appointments, and then the referral business that we're seeing is people stepping away from the industries that they're in and all that, and then just doing basic reviews. We're finding a lot.
Listen, if you do, I've said this time and time again, if you do a review the right way, and you use a agenda that, and at Fiduciary Alliance, we have these agendas. We're happy to share them with you. If you use the right agenda, you will uncover an amazing amount of opportunity with your existing client base. You know, it blows my mind when advisors come to me and they're like, hey, Brian, what? I'm going to be doing this new digital campaign and boop do, and it's going to be this, and I'm going to do YouTube videos to back this up and do all this other stuff. And to basically what we're talking about right now, I say, tell me about your spheres of influence. Tell me about the people you know. Tell me about your existing clients. What are you doing there? And then it's like crickets. And I go, why don't we start there? That's the
easiest.
And guess how much that costs? Nothing.
And I mean, it's amazing. We all seem to always look for that next big client or that next big relationship, when in fact they're right under your nose. And that was one of my, when you say some of this growth of what's happened, is that we've really zeroed in on making sure we get in front of those people again. And I'm going to say 80% of the time that we review with someone, we uncover new monies. And a lot of it starts to become inheritances. Someone's always leaving a job, or there's a CD that's been sitting out there, and it 80%, and that's probably conservative. I think we were talking about like 90%.
There's a stat out there. I don't know what it is, but I know there's a stat out there that basically says X percent of your clients, and it's a big percentage, has money elsewhere. X percent, or a life insurance policy, or just something that you could be helping them with. And this is fact. So that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. All right. Let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about Fiduciary Alliance. You joined us in 21. You were the fourth firm to join Fiduciary Alliance. So
fourth place. Is that what that means?
You didn't make the podium. I'm sorry. You didn't make the podium.
We all got a participation trophy.
You were the fourth firm to join Fiduciary Alliance. Talk to me about just your part of the platform. How you mentioned a little bit earlier how it's helped you. Can you just flesh that out a lital bit? Being a part of Fiduciary Alliance network.
Yeah, I mean, talking individually, like I have an amazing assistant that I think if she wasn't with me, That would be a challenge. That right person that has your back and just kind of reminds you, say, hey, you forgot about this, you didn't do this. But she uses Fiduciary with Victoria and Candace and your team constantly for, hey, what do I do here? Or can we just do this? I mean, to the point where we start to become self-sufficient. But I didn't realize joining Fiduciary so young, as the fourth firm in. I didn't know. I just put my head down in life and just keep moving along. And I'm glad we're part of it. There's been times where I start to go, am I in the right place? And I reflect on that. I have a lot of conversations with my wife on that. She's my best friend and partner in this thing. And there's so many things that they do that you overlook and don't realize they do until you say, I'm going to do it on my own, or I'm going to step away, right? So it just makes sense. The model makes sense of giving up a little to get a lot.
Right.
And your staff's been great. They're always available, and they put up with my lack of computers and all that stuff. And I like phone calls. I'm an old guy. I'm a traditional guy. I'll pick the phone up. So your staff puts up with me on that.
Yeah.
Like I had a nice talk with Abby yesterday to go over
the fees and everything
and stuff, and she was great. And I'm like, sorry I bother you, but she's like, no, I love talking to you. It's all that good stuff. So, but everybody's been like that. So it's just been, and when I went out on my own in 2001, I sat that next day when I left MetLife, and I sat there and I said, all right, who do I call?
Yeah.
Who's my team? Who are my people? So just being part of a team.
Yeah.
There's value there, and it takes you to the next level because you can start to see the people around you, and you don't get stagnant. So that's what's been the biggest strengths of being a part of you guys.
Yeah, no, that's really good stuff.
Plus, you're an okay golfer.
I'm on the front nine, I was an okay golfer. On the back nine, not so much.
Me and you both.
We played golf. We got to play some golf yesterday here in New Hampshire. Beautiful, beautiful state. All right, one last question about Fiduciary Alliance. I'm going to get to some other things here about you personally, but if you were talking to another advisor who was maybe listening to this and considering a transition, going independent, joining Fiduciary Alliance, any advice you'd give them at all about either the transition or just the group or anything like that?
I touched on it a second ago, is that just being part of a group. Everybody thinks, you're giving up something to be a part of that group, but there's so much value added. And I've done it, I've lived it. It's crazy that I feel like I've been in this industry for almost 30 years, and I had to find my way through the whole process. I didn't have someone to coach me up or tell me this is a better way to do it. In you right now, I do feel your team does that, and I have that in you. Yeah. So there's a huge value. So if you're a young guy, you're looking to grow, you're looking for direction, you think you want to do this, but how do I get to the next level? Your team and your staff, between you and Anthony in the group have been tremendous. So we're very grateful.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I try to explain to people, it's not only that value that we provide in terms of the know-how and our scale and things like that to help you. What I find when I sit down with most advisors and most business owners, quite honestly, is I'll ask them, like, what's your hourly rate? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's an hour of your time worth? And most people have not done that calculation. And I say, and then as I walk them through it, and I say, okay, the reality is everything that Fiduciary is doing for you, you can do on your own. You can absolutely do on your own. But when we start calculating that hourly rate out, and you're going to have to figure this stuff out on your own, and because most people are like, well, shoot, my hourly rate is here, and it's typically a high number, which it should be, right? You create value, you help people out, but it's like if you want to start figuring this stuff out on your own, it's going to be, it's just your time, but it gets very, very, very expensive as opposed to letting another group do it. All right, enough of Fiduciary. Let's get over to, I want to talk about you a little bit, all right? Okay, you're a leader of a firm. You've been with us for 4 years. You've been doing this, you said 2001, right?
Independently, yeah.
Yeah, since 2001. What's something, like, as you've grown here over the last 20 plus years, what's something, just a piece of advice, man, if I had known this early on, what would that be to someone?
I'll tell you, I feel I've started too late.
Okay.
In doing assets under management.
Ah, interesting.
And a little bit of my background, practice, and what we do. The PNC is a revenue source. It's renewal based, similar to basically the AUM model.
Yeah.
But we've done annuities, we've done life insurance, we've done a number of different things. We've just adding Tim, we're doing a CFP piece and
Sure.
financial plans. But man, if I knew that what this in the last 2 years, what's happened to the revenue center on the AUM side, if I knew that 10 years ago,
Right.
I would have.
Well, I mean, you came from an insurance background, so what you knew was insurance. You knew those things, so I get it. I 100% get it. And obviously, you've grown significantly, especially these past couple of years. You have. What advice would you give other advisors who want to grow? Okay, but maybe they don't want to lose their identity in the process. They don't want to sacrifice or this or that. But do you have any advice for folks that want to grow that aren't where you're at and just starting or maybe figuring some things out?
Just getting into the business. Is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, sure. So let's do that. For the person getting into the business, what's your advice?
Find a good group. I mean, that's gonna help you grow.
Yeah.
I know you take. You have younger guys under your wing,
Sure,
teaching them how the process is, right?
Yeah.
Sink or swim type of thing. And I'm used to that model way back then.
Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays they think they should be making the money before they put the work in.
Right,
They don't fully
right.
understand that.
Right.
But
I think we came from a generation of this idea that you go pay your dues.
yeah,
And I think that's been lost. I'm not going to make any I'm not going to talk about generations, but I do find in a lot of ways that's been lost. But we paid our dues, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we did. I tell my kids all the time, to get the things you want, you've got to do the things you don't want to do. And for a lot of years, you got to just do that, right? You got to put in the time.
so we have the younger guys. We have that model, and I've come from that model. So there's a lot of days where there's tough love.
Yeah.
And I go, what the heck did MetLife teach me? I'll tell you, it made me to be a salesman.
Yeah.
That's a swear word sometimes. I mean, but learn how to sell.
Yeah.
Relationships, having a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And I've been able to instill those things into these younger guys that I have. Two of them are my kids.
Right.
One of them has already been established 3 years in the business with another firm, and I had to literally recruit him because he didn't want to be caught, well, I'm with dad, or you went with your father,
Right,
and I appreciate that. But man, he's really helped us grow,
Yeah.
which in turn has helped JT grow, my other son.
Right.
So that rising tide raises all boats. I've seen that, and we have Matt Keefe as an advisor, and it helps to refocus even
Sure.
Brian
Sure.
from perspective. But
Yeah.
what would you do? I mean, it's all about finding the right team, and
Right.
we've had some strong conversations, me and you.
Yeah. I like that. Strong.
Strong. And I've looked at going, hey, I'm smarter than you. I know I can do it on my own. I know I can do this and capture it. But there's so much stuff behind the scenes that these guys do that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Having Victoria in there as your
Right.
compliance officer, and just stuff like that, and just being a resource.
Yeah.
And I've learned that I don't need to make it all, and
Right.
it's just great to be part of a team. So I'm a sports guy. I'm an athlete. I like to recruit athletes.
Yeah.
I think they understand the work ethic and what it takes.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of sports analogies, but
Yeah. We do too.
yeah.
We do too. We're big sports fans as well. Well, good. Well, listen, I know we like to keep these things right about 30 minutes, but I will say, just want to brag on Barry and his team at Merrimack. They actually, at Fiduciary Alliance, I think we're up to, maybe you were the fourth, we're up to about 14 firms now that are a part of us.
It's awesome.
You are over the last 2 years.
I'll say wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome here. You are the fastest growing right now over the last year. And in terms of your growth percentage and things like that. So that's fantastic. Kudos to you. You run a great business, great team. Of course, we're sitting out here in New Hampshire, right up a few blocks from the beach, and it's beautiful. Wind's blowing, and it's a really nice place. But thank you for listening today. Thank you for spending some time with us. And Barry, I really want to thank you for you just sharing your heart with us, and I'm so excited and thankful you're a part of the team. And again, for those of you that have not met Barry in person, make sure you book and register for the Advisor Summit in October, because Barry and his team will be down there, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you then. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.
This is great.